Hello everyone. In this session, we'll be talking about when to use the custom columns, measures, and tables using the text. Now, before that, let's try to understand what exactly is the custom column, measure, and the tables. So let's say if you're working with a table and you want to do some row-based operations, for example, over here, so you can see that in this particular data set, I'm having various columns. For example, order ID, product name, category, quantity, unit price, and the total price of the product. Then we have some customer information. Now let's say right now our particular table is having this total price. But what if in some case you need to create a specific column for that in which the operation would be applied and then you get a new column over here with total price. So in that case, what would you do? So what we are trying to do over here is we are trying to multiply this unit price and quantity and we need to create a new column which says sales. So right now we are having this kind of column, but still let's try to create it with the help of text function. So what I need to do is I need to go over here in the new columns option. When I click on this new column option, so let's say if you want to create new measure and new table also, the process would be same. First of all, what you have to do is you have to give the new name over here. So for this particular column, I want to name it as total sales. So I will say total sales. Then the next thing it would ask you about the function, that do you want to use any kind of function? For example, sum, average, minimum, maximum, or any logical function or any text function. Right now, I don't want to use any kind of function. I want to just multiply this unit price with the total price to get the sales value. For that, what I need to do is I need to reference this column of unit price. Now, how would I refer this column? So first of all, we need to see that this column lies in which table. So it lies over here in the sample sales. On the right hand side, you can see that I'm having this sample sales table, and inside it, I have this unit price and also the quantity column. Now I want to multiply these both. So first, what I'll do is I'll write the table name. The table name is sample sales. As you are trying to write the table name, it would be giving you some suggestions. For example, you can see the suggestions over here. It is trying to ask you, are you talking about this quantity column? So I will click over here and it would select that particular column for me. Then I will multiply it with the unit price. So again, I will write sample sales and unit price over here. Then you can press enter. Now you can see it has created a new column for me. And the name of this new column is total sales. This total sales is a multiplication of the unit price and the total price. Now let's say if you want to create another column or if you want to create any other calculation in which you want to see the total sales that is happening. So the sum of sales, I mean, the sum of sales would be the sales which is done by all these particular products. So right now, if I'm talking about the sum of sales, basically it is the summation of this particular column over here. Now we know it would be a single entity. So in that case, what I can do is, let's say if I'm creating another column this time. So for that, I'll click on this new column. I will name this as sum of sales equals to, then I have to select the function. The function would be sum. And then inside function, first I have to write this parenthesis. Then inside that, I have to select the particular column name. So that column is inside the sample sales table and the column name is total sales. So I will write sample sales over here and I will select the column as total sales. I will close the parenthesis and press enter. Now you can see that it has created another column and that particular column is showing me the sum of sales. Now inside that column, I am having the value of 9,166 and this value is repeating throughout the column. Now, since it is a single entity, I don't need an entire column for representing that. Also, it is utilizing some of the memory. So now in this case, I know that I don't have to create any column. I can create a single measure which can then serve the purpose. So for example, let's say, first of all, I'm deleting this column. So I can right click and select delete. Now we will talk about how to create a measure and when do we usually create it. So whenever you are having this single value, for example, the average of anything, sum, maximum, minimum, or any target sales kind of thing, that would be a single number. So for example, let's say if you are trying to create a target sales, which would be the summation of all the sales that you have done into 1.2 times. So in that case, again, it would be a single entity. So you can create the new measure. Now to create a new measure, you can go over here in the calculations and select this option of new measure. If you don't want to use it, what you can do is you can go in the report view and over here, I'm having this new measure option. So click on the new measure. It would again show you this formula bar. So you can see you can put the name over here also, or you can put the name over here also where it says measure. After clicking on the new measure, write the name of the measure. So let's say the name of the measure is total sales. So I will double click over here, replace it with total sales equals to sum of the sales, sum of the total sales. So over here, I'll write sum of total sales so that it doesn't create any confusion. So the syntax of writing the formula would be same over here. The only thing that is changing is we are creating a new measure instead of a new column. After you have done this, you can press enter, and on the right hand side in the data, you can see it has created a new measure for us, which is the sum of the total sales. Now, how do you identify that it is a measure? So you can see the calculator icon over here. We have got this calculator icon. After you have selected this, you can convert it into a card, or maybe you can just select a card and drop in down the value. So you can see now that the total sum of sales is 9,166. And it is the same result that we were getting when we were creating a new column. So in this way, you can create a measure. Now let's talk about one more measure. So this measure is also available whenever, let's say, you're creating a card. And if I drag this total sales this time, it is showing me the sum of total sales directly. It is happening because over here in the aggregation, I have took the aggregation as sum. If I was taking the aggregation as average, it would show me the average of the total sales. Now we don't need to create a separate measure to show the total sales over here. So now what I can do is instead of that, I can create a new measure, which is basically the target sales. To create target sales, what I'll do is I will multiply this total sum of sales into 1.2. So again, to do that, what I do is I can just directly right click over here and I can edit this, the measure that I have created earlier. So if I come over here, I can write it as target sales and it would be the sum of total sales into 1.2. Press enter and see the result. You can see that the result has now been changed to 11,000. And you can always change the data type over here. If you want to see it in the form of whole numbers or if you want to see some more decimals over here, you can always increase those. So this is how you will create a new measure. Now we have understood when do we need to create a new column and also when do we need to create a new measure. Now let's talk about when do you need to create a new table. So again, we will go to this table view. So whatever calculations you are doing in terms of creating some new columns, new tables or new measures using the DAX functions, you will be doing everything in the table view only. Also, you can do some of those in the report view also, but it is advisable if you are doing it too over here so you can see the changes in data whenever you are adding some columns over here. Now let's say if you want to create a new table, you can go to home and you can select new table option from over here. Now before creating any new table, first of all, let's see how the new table should look like. For example, let's say right now I'm having the order history of multiple customers over here. This order history also contains the information of the country they are living in. Right now I'm having the information of multiple countries. If I click over here, I can see I'm having the information related to Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Mexico, Spain, UK, and USA. Now I want to create a new table in which I will only have the information of the people who have placed an order from Germany. How to do it? So you can go to home, you can select new table, and since I'm creating a new table, which are the order history from Germany, I can name it as order from Germany. And this would be a filter of the already existing table. So I can use the filter function over here. Now, whenever you are using these kind of functions, they are trying to give you some examples. Over here, you can see the suggestions over here that it is asking for the table and also for the filter expression. So it is asking for the already existing table which you want to filter. So I want to filter the sample sales. So I will write sample sales over here, comma. Then it would ask for the filter expression. So I will say where sample sales country equals to Germany. So Germany would be inside quotes because it is a text. After you have done that, you can close the bracket and press enter. You can see it has filtered the table for us. And now I'm only having the data of the customers for which the value is Germany. Now let's say if you want to edit this. Now let's say I want to bring in the data for UK. So I can write UK over here instead of Germany and again press enter. Now the data has been filtered for the country UK. So in this way, you can create some new measures, new columns, and new tables using the DAX functions. Remember, whenever you have to create a single entity or single value, you'll be using new measures. Whenever you have to do some row-based operations, for example, if you want to multiply the quantity with unit price, where every individual record will be showing you a unique value, you will be using new columns. And whenever you have to create a new table, you will be using this new table option. And I've already shown you an example of when to use the new table. So this was all for this session. In the next upcoming sessions, we'll be seeing how can we use different kind of text functions starting with a mathematical function. Thank you.